Hello, this is Billy Core from the Carolina Circle Mall Wiki. It's Friday night, April 26th of 2013. Hard to believe it's almost May, folks. But I had this inspiration for a video this morning, and I thought I'd follow through with it for once. Tonight, we're going to take a look back at the story of my first Packard Bell. It was not only my first Packard Bell, but it was also my first computer, period. But before we do that, let's go back to 1995. Second favorite year, next to 94. You see, my aunt had recently purchased a computer herself. And I was only 5 years old at the time. I believe this was the summer of 95, if not earlier, if not later. And she asked me, and actually she told me, Billy, I would like you to come by the house someday when you're in town, and I want to show you my computer. Now, at the time, I didn't know what a computer exactly was. I didn't know what a PC was, or a Mac was, or what Windows was. My idea of a computer at age 5 was some kind of science fiction lethal robot thing that shoots lasers at you and kills you. So I was kind of skeptical about going over to her house and seeing her computer, but I finally decided to. And man, oh man, my life was changed forever. It was a Gateway 2000 P5 100 XL, the tower model, which is probably about the length of a small house, and it was running Windows for Workgroups 3.11. And that was the first operating system I ever saw, and it was fascinating seeing the program manager, all the program groups, and the first computer game we played, which was the same day I saw the computer for the first time, was Sierra's Mixed Up Mother Goose Deluxe, which had come out that same year. And it was such an amazing game. In fact, I was playing it a few minutes ago just for a little bit on my Packard Bell Legend 402 CD, which is running Windows 3.1 as well. And just the music and everything in that game, and the overall feel, just really takes me back. And we all know how nostalgia is for me. But anyway, throughout the next few months, we did all kinds of stuff on the computer. She was mostly trying to show me how to use a computer, because I'd never seen one before. Or and I remember her showing me the I can't remember if it was After Dark, but she showed me these screensavers that weren't bundled with Windows, but it came on a third-party program. It may have come with After Dark or Norton Desktop. I know she had Norton Desktop, so that was probably what it was. I remember one that had dinosaurs going across the monitor, which was kind of neat. And she also showed me some kind of desktop publishing software. I forget what it was. It was probably Print Shop or something. But we made a birthday card for my cousin, and it came out pretty well. But over time, she wound up not being the only one who wanted a computer. You see, in 1995, that was when the home computing revolution was really taking off. I know PCs had been around since 1981, starting with the IBM 5150, but they never really caught on until the mid-90s, and starting around 1995, people were buying computers by the barrelful, if that's even a word. They were signing on to this new thing called the World Wide Web, or as it's better known as now, the Internet. And my dad wanted in on this. So in the fall of 1995, I had just started kindergarten. My dad started looking for potential computers that we could purchase. I remember eating supper one night in, I think, probably November of 1995, and he came up to me and showed me a sales ad for, I guess, Best Buy or something, and it showed a computer. I don't remember what kind of computer it was. It may have been a Packard Bell, I don't know, but he asked me what I thought of it, and I said, well, okay, but that's fine, but keep in mind, though, I was only 5 years old. I really didn't know how to shop around, and I hadn't learned to read, so I couldn't read Consumer Reports magazine or anything like that. But anyway, in December of 1995, I think early December of 1995, it was, I don't remember what day of the week, it was either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I was bedridden with a really bad stomach virus, and I stayed in bed all day in my dad's bed and watched Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon all day. I remember that evening watching the Flintstones, and my dad came home in his white 1995 Honda Accord V6. I missed that car, by the way. And he brought home a computer, a brand new computer, our first computer, along with my brother, my half brother. He brought home a desk for it from Lowe's Home Improvement. Not him, but my dad started setting the computer up, and I would sneak in every now and then while I was sick to check on the progress of it. And finally, I worked up enough strength to go in there to see the first boot up. And this computer was something called a Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT. A computer that would pretty much revolutionize my life. I remember him booting the computer and seeing the operating system in the desktop load for the very first time. Now, my aunt's computer, the Gateway 2000, like I said earlier, was running Windows for Workgroups 3.11. That's what I had grown accustomed to. Now, but our new computer, the Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT, had this new revolutionary operating system on it known as Windows 95. And I was and I couldn't figure out my way around it. But I really didn't get a chance to use the computer yet because I was pretty much sick. Plus, I just assumed my dad wouldn't let me use it since it was the whole shebang, including the computer, monitor, the keyboard, and tax, wound up being roughly $3,000. But the next day, while I was still sick, my dad brought home the first computer games for our Legend 822 CDT. They were 3D Ultra Pinball by Sierra, 2 Living Books games, Just Grandma and Me, and the Berenstain Bears Get in a Fight. All 3 of those games I still own. And those were some pretty good games, I tell you. And the day after that, 2 days after the Packard Bell arrived, I finally went to the doctor, and when I got home, I was shocked to hear my dad tell me that I could use the Packard Bell computer by myself at any time I wanted. I couldn't believe that. Me, only 6 years old, and I have access to a computer. How many other kids my age, like in my kindergarten class, had this luxury? And so after that, I started using that computer non-stop. It became the joy of my life. Playing nothing but computer games on it. I remember playing the, when we first got it, the bundled software that came with the Packard bills at the time. I remember playing the kid story games like Millie Fitzwilly's Mouse Catcher and The Pirate Who Wouldn't Wash, as well as Toonland with Howie Mandel, and my personal favorite, My First Encyclopedia, aka the None of Your Business game. But yeah, I remember Christmas morning that year, Christmas Day of 1995. We had only had the computer for about 2 weeks or so, and and my dad got me some software for Christmas. I recall I got some kind of purple game. I call it the purple game because that's the color of the box it came in. It was some storybook game. I still have it. It's over there on my shelf, but camera and tripod in the way, and I don't want to break my legs, especially this weekend because I got to go out of town. But I digress. He also got me 2 more Living Books games. He got me The Tortoise and the Hare and Arthur's Teacher Trouble. Both are very good storybook games, and I had a good time with that, I tell you. Boy, I am thirsty right now, and I don't have a soft soda anywhere. And but 1995 vanished into existence, and in came 1996. That was pretty much 1996 was pretty much the height of my Legend 822 CDT's existence. That's when I spent the most time with it, played the most games on it. In fact, it was in the early part of 1996, January, I want to say, when we first signed on to the internet. We created an account with America Online with the software that was already bundled on the Packard bill, which I believe was version 2.5, and we signed on, and we got our first taste of the World Wide Web, and from that moment on I've been addicted to it. If it wasn't for that, this video wouldn't be happening now. And I also recall in early '96, I want to say February or March, I got my first Humongous Entertainment game. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Recently, the Humongous Entertainment games have gotten somewhat of a cult following, especially on the internet. I mean, look at all the... Do a Google search or search on YouTube for Humongous Entertainment. You'll want to plan your day around that, because there's so much stuff. But anyway, we bought my first game from Humongous. It was Putt Putt Joins the Parade. We got it from our local CompUSA, and speaking of that, CompUSA was an incredible store. Ours was here in Greensboro, was across from Four Seasons Town Center, Carolina Circle Mall's competitor. And by the way, I am not too crazy about Four Seasons. And when CompUSA closed in 2008, I no longer had a reason to go over there. Anyway, I brought home my first game from Humongous. It was Putt Putt Joins the Parade, and I was a fan for life, literally, because I still play that game quite often on my Packard bills over there. It was start of something amazing, because not long after that I started getting more Humongous Entertainment games. I think after that I got Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, a very, very good game. And the moment I remember most from getting a new Humongous Entertainment game was my third one. I had just gotten in the car in, I believe, March or something of 1996. I got in my dad's 1995 Honda Accord V6 at Madison Elementary School after school that morning. Not after that morning, but that afternoon. And we got on the road, and about a minute after we got on the road, my dad reached in between the seat and the door and handed me a bag from CompUSA, I believe it was CompUSA. I took a box out of the bag, and it was a little game called Fatty Bear's Birthday Surprise. That was an incredible, and still is, incredible game. I still play it quite often. In fact, after I make this video, if I still have enough energy, I'm going to go over here to my Legend 818 CDT and play a nice game of Fatty Bear. But anyway, I was addicted to that game, and every night, every weeknight at least, my mom and I, who has never liked computers and still does to this day, would play Fatty Bear every night while I drank a can of Pepsi. Back when Pepsi still had that cool red and white logo with the word Pepsi going vertical on it. That was the best can design I've ever seen for Pepsi. But anyway, I'd always decorate a cake, and I had a little tradition going. Whenever someone had a birthday coming up, like my cousin, my uncle, my aunt, or one of my parents, I would always make them decorate a birthday cake for them in Fatty Bear's Birthday Surprise. Unfortunately, they would never see it because I didn't know how to save it at the time. And believe it or not, I still do that little trick every now and then for someone's birthday. But now I'm a little bit, now that I'm 23 years old, I'm smarter, and I know now that I can just hit the print screen key, paste it into Microsoft Paint, put it on a floppy drive, and on a floppy disk that is, and away I go. Yeah, and I also... Okay, what did my phone just do? Okay, that's weird. My phone's resetting itself. Oh well. Anyway, I got some other computer games around the same time as the first humongous games. I got really into the Goose series of games. Now, these were point-and-click games starring a giant, oversized talking dog called Gus with the most deep and booming voice ever. And I believe the guy who voiced him was actually a folk singer, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, I remember my first one was Gus Goes to the Kooky Carnival, another game I still own and play quite often. And I want to say something while I'm thinking of it. You know, a lot of people are going to think it's weird that I play these old computer games intended for little children. Well, the way I see it, if it's for the sake of nostalgia, you can get away with it. And it was in May, I want to say, of 1996 when I got the game that would eventually become my favorite computer game of all time. It was a little game called Earthworm Jim, the enhanced CD-ROM edition. Now, I didn't know it had originally been released on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis 2 years prior, but this one was a special edition version for Windows 95. It was designed completely for Windows 95, actually, and it was a platforming game, very funny platformer game. I remember playing Big Broody, that level. That was my favorite, and it still is. I loved seeing Earthworm Jim get eaten by that giant frog dinosaur mutant thing. But yeah, it was a very good game, and it still is. It's hard to find good computer games these days. It seems like everything has gone to either consoles, and on computers now it's always first-person shooters, which I cannot stand first-person shooters. It's just a thing I have. I don't really agree with the logic behind it. But So that's why I really don't play many modern computer games anymore. In fact, when you saw me build my 2013 custom build a couple of months ago, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I didn't put a fancy graphics card in it because the Intel graphics are all I need. And the summer of '96, I was out of school. I spent every day on that Packard Bell. It was amazing. In fact, I have a video on my YouTube channel I uploaded back in 2010 of old camera footage of me playing on our Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT from June and July of 1996. If you want to check it out, just go to my video list, I guess, on my channel page, and you'll go down to the 2010 videos, and it's in there somewhere. I think it was uploaded in May of 2010. But yeah, I had so many good times with that computer. And in 1998, we had a little accident with it. The monitor that we got with it burned out. I guess I don't know what happened to it, but it just quit working. And so we had to go to a used computer shop over on Battleground Avenue in Greensboro, which is very much long gone. But they sold us a used Gateway 2000 monitor, a 14-inch monitor. And I don't know, something about it just didn't feel right. In fact, even to this day, as you see, I have to use a Packard Bell monitor on my Packard Bells. It just, OCD maybe, I don't know. But the last computer game I remember playing on it was Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, which we got new in 1999. And you saw me play it in my last video when I was restoring that Dell Dimension XPS B800. And then in 1999, July of 1999, we replaced the Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT with a brand new HP Pavilion desktop running Windows 98 2nd Edition. It was an okay computer, but that computer, including all the ones that came after it, after the Packard Bell, just did not seem to have that same magic. And I didn't really realize it at the time how much of an impact that Packard Bell had on me, because in, I think, April of 2000, my dad decided I needed to have my own personal computer here in my bedroom. And so he gave me the old Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT. I used it in here on a brand new desk for about a week or so with no problems, but then just out of the blue, the modem quit working on the sound modem card, which, as I've seen after all these years of collecting Packard Bells seem to be plagued by broken dial-up modems. And so just because of that, like an idiot, I let my dad buy me a brand new E-Machine desktop computer, one of those never obsolete models, from Best Buy, and I started using it instead of the Packard Bell. And so that is why, sadly, I am still kicking myself so hard about this. In the summer of 2000, I let my dad give the Packard Bell away to a good friend of his. The last time I ever saw that Packard Bell was when my dad's friend was loading it into the back of his truck on in our driveway, and I never saw the Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT again. And so for the first few years after that, I really didn't care about it. But then, as we all know, as you saw in my nostalgia video from last month, I in 2005, the nostalgia bug got me, and I decided I needed to replace that Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT. And so I went on eBay and bought a Packard Bell Legend 1510 Supreme, which is 90% identical to the old 822 except for two things. One, the 1510 is a 4x4 desktop model. The Legend 822 was a mini tower. And two, the Legend 1510 Supreme had a 120 megahertz Pentium, and the 822 only had a 100 megahertz Pentium. But to be honest with you, I really don't see much of a difference between 100 and 120. And then in 2010, no, actually before that, I started searching in 2005 for my childhood Packard Bell, the Legend 822 CDT. And to this day, I've never been able to find it, sadly, but maybe one of these days I will. But anyway, in 2010, a thrift store opened up here in Greensboro called Value Village, and I started collecting Packard Bells from there that would get in, and you can usually get them for under $20. And the majority of my Packard Bells I own right now came from Value Village, and they still are. I go there every other day to see if there are any more Packard Bells. But my mouth is getting really dry, so that's enough rambling for tonight. This is Billy Kors signing off.